This is Betstars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
Welcome to Betstars and Stripes, 9 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock, and to talk all things US sport. Thanks to Betstar. Take Betstar on at betstar.com.au, and Betstar are offering the best NFL promo Australia has ever seen. From 10 a.m. Sunday, get $2 favourites on all NFL Week 13 games, even the Cowboys against Philly. $50 maximum bets, first 500 punters per game. Head to betstar.com.au to get your slice of the pie. We'll welcome our esteemed panel. Alice Gander joins us first of all. Al, it's a fantastic deal if you can get a $2 for something that normally run around at $1.10.
And there's a few shorties as well. There was a couple of $1.14 chances. There's a couple of very short ones, but they actually ran out. So we've been running this promo all week, and it was the first 500 bets, and so the first 500 bets have gone. Having said that, for the purpose of this show, I've told the boys at Betstar to turn the promo back on. So for the duration of this hour, you'll be able to get even money favourites on all the games that are left to go, except the Tuesday game, which will come up Tuesday morning.
Yep. So, good evening, everybody, by the way.
Dr. Turf, everybody.
Who is that? Who's talking?
So the punters out there can actually cop $2, say, the Green Bay Packers.
Anything. Maximum bet $50.
Yeah, I understand.
But anything.
Green Bay Packers will win.
So for the listeners, we'll lose Doc for the next 5 minutes. He'll be on his iPad, so just excuse me. He'll be back at some stage.
I got him last week. I don't know who it was. It was
Miami,
that's right.
You did put the bet on during the season.
You know why I did it? Just to annoy him. No other reason.
Australia no wicket for 13, chasing a whopping 632.
Handy chase.
Ed Wyatt joins us. Rodney Hogg actually thinks you're a chance of that too. But Ed Wyatt joins us. Ed, nice to have you here as well.
Good to be here, Darren. It's been a wacky test, hasn't it?
It has been.
I mean, cricket is not my forte. I love to watch it, but this one has been as strange as I've seen.
I don't think Alan McGilvray ever described a match as a wacky test.
He's hit 3 boundaries in about 7 or 8 deliveries, Dave Warner. So the attack or defend mode for Australia late in the day, he's answered it the way he normally does. Now, John from North Melbourne asked a question. We haven't often started the program this way, but he says, is there any latest update on the NHL lockout?
Yeah, nothing good. I mean, they brought in some government mediators to try and assist with the mediation, and it's not happening. So I've had a lot of people who've asked me on Twitter, hey, I've got tickets to a Rangers game or a Devils game in December when I'm in New York for Christmas. Any chance? And I'd have to say at this point, no.
Now, you're an objective, even-handed sort of bloke. Who's in the right, who's in the wrong?
I'm going to put the blame on. I think in this case, the owners and the Commissioner Gary Bettman are driving too hard a bargain. I think they, as I've said this a couple of times, I think they saw an opportunity. I think they definitely need to dial back some of the percentage. I really do, because there is more money there, and I think originally the players were going to get. But I do think they came through that last lockout, and it was positive for the league. And I think they thought, if we'd done this once, we can do this again. And I think that's kind of the way they've done it. So I do think there needs to be a meeting somewhere in between, but I do put a fair bit of the blame on Bettman, the commissioner.
Now, some of the NFL results. So you did mention Twitter a little bit earlier on, and Samuel L. Jackson, who seems to be a fan of the Atlanta Falcons, was up and about. He tweets the same way that he speaks in his movies, but they got the job done 23-13.
Quotes the Bible.
Quotes the Bible, swears profusely. They beat New Orleans 23-13.
Were there any snakes on the... No, I won't go there.
Yeah, what a Royal McCheese.
That sort of language. Yeah.
Out to $41 the Saints now. Surely cast. Surely the Super Bowl is no longer an option, and I think their season is gone. Well,
yeah, that's one they needed to win. I agree with that. They're 5-7 now. I can't see them. I mean, it's still possible.
In a way, the scoreline flattered the Saints Thursday night. Yeah. He had a absolute Barry Crocker.
Shocker. Yeah, 5 interceptions. Drew Brees. And ended that streak of touchdowns that he had going for. Crazy stuff. In Atlanta, Atlanta continues to win, and they are a very good football team. And we have to admit that. Matt Ryan is a good player. The running game is suspect, I think, but good receivers, Julio Jones and Roddy White, even though Roddy White didn't catch a lot of balls on the weekend. Tony Gonzalez, a very good tight end, well coached. We've got to admit now that they're a team that could get there.
The market hasn't adjusted, though. So
isn't it?
So Houston's 10-1, and they're a $5 favourite for the Super Bowl, and Atlanta's 10-1, and they're a $9.50 chance for the Super Bowl. So obviously, some people still don't believe in the Falcons.
There still does look to be half a dozen, at least, teams with good chance. I want to ask Ed, with what are we, week 13?
Yeah. 13, yes.
Guys like Andy Reid, Rex,
Ryan,
big Rex from
Rex
the Jets.
Yep.
When do they start looking over their shoulder?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think they're looking over their shoulder already. I think Andy Reid knows he's gone. I think Jeff Lurie, the owner, at the start of the season said 8-8 is unacceptable. So I don't know what the Eagles are sitting at right now. 3-8. So they have to win 5 in a row just to be unacceptable. So I think Reid is gone. I think Vic is probably gone. But I do think Jeff Lurie is a decent enough human being as the owner of this team, and he likes Andy Reid that he's going to wait till the end of the season, I think. But a lot of things start coming into play. College season is just wrapping up. So college coaches are now starting to move around. And if you're a pro team that wants to make a college coaching offer. And
is that where you go?
Look, some do and some don't. It's kind of cooled on it recently because there hadn't been a lot of success. But if you want to do that, you've got to start looking now. That's part of the problem.
Let me ask you a naive question. I watched a couple of college games today, off and on. Alabama and then the was it TCU and Kansas?
Kansas State and Texas.
Texas, sorry. Yeah. Sellouts, 1 million people there. The Kansas-Texas game was on free-to-air TV in America, prime time, Saturday
Rates
night.
Very well.
Where's the money go, given the players don't get it?
That's a very,
Where
very
does
good
the
question.
money go?
A lot of the money goes to support other sports because football is the only sport that makes any money other than selected universities making money off basketball, men's. So all those women's sports, all those minor sports like tennis and golf and volleyball and things like that, Olympic sports, whatever you want to call them, they're all funded by college football.
So when Mark Allen played golf and the college
Texas
system,
Tech Red Raiders football was paying for that.
He was being propped up by football.
Absolutely right. Now,
I'll remind him of that.
That said, a lot of money goes into these athletic department coffers. There's no doubt about it. But I wouldn't say people are getting rich off it necessarily. Schools and conferences are, but not individuals aren't pocketing it. But that's always the big argument that people have. If these players are generating millions, should they get paid? That's always the big argument. But at this point, no, they don't.
What do you gentlemen make of the 49ers? They had a dilemma this week, and they had Smith coming back, who's healthy and ready to go, and they've elected to sit him on the sideline and continue with Kaepernick.
He was good last week.
He was fantastic.
That's 2 in a row.
They've gone all in.
Tough one.
Look, they've gone all in on this one. It's a gutsy move by Jim Harbaugh, and I think Jim Harbaugh has made gutsy moves in the past at Stanford, and I think Kaepernick probably gives them a better opportunity to win a Super Bowl. He's more mobile. He's much more athletic than Alex Smith. He can throw a better downfield ball than Alex Smith. Now, he's a younger guy than Alex Smith, and it's very cruel to see this happen, but I do think he gives him more weapons, more of a chance to win.
Well, he's got the Rams, I think, this weekend, so that'll be 3 in a row.
And he's a good quarterback, Kaepernick. He's big. I watched him a lot when he was at Nevada, and he's a big, athletic, good athlete. Could have played baseball. Was going to be drafted out of high school to baseball, but really liked football so much, and ironically, only got one scholarship offer to the University of Nevada, which we see that happen a lot. He's an exceptional talent, and I think probably Harbaugh's figured, we can throw Alex Smith in there and take our chances, or we can just roll the dice, and this kid can take us all the way.
And I think it's a good approach. I think to win Super Bowls or championships, I think steady she goes doesn't do it. Like you need to be better than everybody else, and you need to sometimes go all in order to sort of put them on the line and sit there and say, I'm going to win it. I'm going to live and die by this sword, and let's see how we go. So, I mean, obviously the 49ers are going to be there or thereabouts Super Bowl time. I mean, what do you guys think the top 3 or 4 teams are in the NFL coming? We're starting to get to the pointy end of the season.
Well, I mean, going past over the bleeding obvious of the 2 teams that are 10-1, Atlanta and Houston.
Right, yep.
You still. I still like. I'm back on the Ravens bandwagon after bailing out halfway through the year.
You did bail, but I agree with you. Yep.
But they've been outstanding the past month or so. The Patriots don't get me completely. The Giants are doing nothing wrong at the moment. I still think there's 6 or 7 really strong contenders out there.
Yeah, I do. The thing that's interesting right now is for some of these teams, you almost start looking at playoff seedings and things like that. Like Denver right now, 8-3. They got a 4-game lead on San Diego. They're not going to lose the AFC West, so they're going to win that. The Ravens have a 3-game lead on the Steelers, who are hurting, and we'll get to them in a little bit. Yeah. So the Ravens are going to win that NFC North. So where do they finish? Who do they draw? Do they get the bye? Do they not get the bye? Those are actually viable questions for teams like that with these big leads, Atlanta and Houston as well. So,
is he playing Roethlisberger?
He's not playing.
He's not playing
from
again.
what I understand. I wouldn't play him against the Ravens either, I'll be honest with you. But this is a loss. I think this is a loss coming for the Steelers, and they're going to drop down to 6-6. And then Cincinnati, who suddenly is resurrected themselves a little bit, they win, they go 7-5. So Pittsburgh's in a lot of trouble until they get Big Ben back. A lot of trouble. Did we answer your question, Al?
Yeah.
So it's a lottery. It's wide open and it's a lottery.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. A bit of tragedy overnight, of course, with the
terrible
Kansas City Chiefs player who...
Jovan Belcher.
Terrible story. Killed his partner and then killed himself at the
parking
venue.
lot of
with Romeo Crennel, the coach, and Scott Pioli, the general manager, there trying to talk him out of, as I've read on the Kansas City News Star website, trying to keep him from killing other people, like trying to keep him under control. I don't think they maybe thought about suicide.
It's just so my understanding was he killed his partner and then drove to the stadium to speak to the coaches and thank them for everything they'd done for him. And basically, the article I read just said he kept thanking them and thanking them and thanking them, and then went to the car park and took his own life. So
terrible
story. A baby behind as well,
of course, which is terrible. Game goes on, and ironically, there was no mention at all of it not going on. The Players Association, the Panthers, the Chiefs all wanted to play the game. I guess it's just too hard maybe to move it in many ways.
Yeah, I mean, how can you sort of speak authoritatively on this? But what does a day make or a 3 days make? I mean,
that's right. And these guys are programmed to play. They've been training all week to do it on this day. So to move it creates a lot of different problems. The sad thing, in a weird way, this might help Kansas City, and I don't mean that, I'm trying to be as delicate as I can. They've been so bad this year, and people have criticized them so heavily and have been so upset with this team that this really puts some things in perspective. Okay, the team's 1-10, they're terrible, but there are bigger things in the world than a football team struggling, and I think that that's something these Kansas City fans probably going to have to think about when they're at the game tomorrow.
It's hard, I guess, for they're playing the Panthers. I mean, it's hard for their opponents too. I mean,
very hard.
It's
very hard.
It's hard for everyone, isn't it?
It's a shocker.
Yeah. Let's go to some basketball news. There's been some big basketball news over the last week or so. There's the brawl which involved the Celtics and Brooklyn. There's the Lakers that are struggling, and then there's San Antonio and Popovich who
that's a huge story.
It's a huge story. So for those who didn't hear, I mean, San Antonio were going to Miami. They were playing away, and there's a tiered ticket system in Miami as well. So depending on who you're playing, the tickets might range from, and don't quote me on the prices, but might range from anywhere from $25 a head to $80 a head, depending on if you're playing a marquee kind of lineup. So San Antonio was the top tier, the most expensive tier. Popovich training an aging side, decided to rest his players instead. He sort of said, this is a sunk cost. We're probably going to lose this game.
We got Memphis on, I think, 4 days later or 3 days later.
They just travelled a lot. Yeah. So he sent Parker, he sent Duncan, he sent Ginobili
and Green, younger guy.
He sent them home. So that's it. Well, right. Having said that, on a side note, they almost won the game. They only just lost the game. But nonetheless, David Stern was not impressed. He runs the NBA with an iron fist. And he was not impressed. So there was that news. What do you make of that?
They've been fined $250,000.
I didn't know that. Is that true?
They've been hammered a lot.
I think I read that they were fined $250,000.
It's a lot of money. Yeah, I think you might be right.
That's correct.
That is completely outrageous. What did Clarkson get when they went and played down in Tassie at that time?
Well, it brings up a lot of issues. It brings up that issue of man management and who knows the team better. It brings up that issue of the NBA forcing
he almost got fined the
schedules
same as the Adelaide Crows for breaching a salary.
There you go. Well, there you go. There's also been issues over the years, and the Spurs are not well liked by the NBA, and I think the Spurs know that. They know that